What calluses?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I thought you lifted weights, dog.
Oh my God. Seriously.
What's up, guys? Devin Zander here with my co-host, Mr.
Clayton Johnson.
And we're the motherfucking
Rowdy
boys. The rowdiest boys in the building.
The Rowdy Boys.
Possibly the only people in the building. I just went to the 4th floor and there was nobody there. It's kind of creepy. And it's we got quite the thunderstorm outside, man. But people probably don't care about that. I think
Dude, that's what it takes. It takes working after hours every day.
Every
Seems
single
just
day.
grinding on it to get it.
6:52 p.m. Eastern time.
Still going, baby.
And today we're going to be going over Webinars 101.
Oh yeah, baby. Okay, so this is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna learn a lot from you.
I'm going to learn
because
you today because you guys really don't do a ton of webinars.
Dude, we do webinars. Don't get me wrong. They're a part of it, and I've had success with webinars, but not to the extent that you have. So I'm very, very curious to go over it. Okay, so
there's always someone else, man. Like
I'm looking
here. I'm like, yeah, we've done like $30 million with webinars, and then I was listening to Alex Hermosi earlier today, and he was talking about Jason Fladling, and he's the guy like who I learned webinars from anyway. So I mean, obviously, I know he's great. But he's saying that fucking Jason Fladling did $25 million with a single webinar. And he did.
Damn.
Dude, shared a little secret about how they added $3 million in revenue. It was sick. It's pretty crazy. I'll just leave that to you. You guys got to go figure it out for yourself.
But there's always other levels, you know? There's always levels.
The next level. And then you'll hear about some of the MLM companies that probably do webinars and have done billions with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously MLM is like the biggest market for webinars, I would say.
Okay, so today, I guess on the episode, what we want to do is, like, if you never run a webinar before, you're gonna know exactly what you need to do to actually get up a great webinar and get it selling for you. And if you've already run webinars before but they weren't performing that well, you probably get good enough tips in here as well. So that's what we want to do.
And I think it's worth saying we're not going to go super in depth on this episode. We're going to go through the parts that make up a webinar.
Yeah, this is going to be a three-part. The three things that you need is like what happens before the Webby, what happens on the Webby, and what happens after the Webby.
Yeah.
So
and then
be really simple.
And the reason why is just because each one of these three parts requires so much. There's just so much that goes into each of it. Yep. So I guess the way we see it is we'll do one overview where we talk about it and kind of glance over everything just to give you structure so you can get out there and get going. And then in the future, hopefully soon, maybe next week, who knows, we'll go more in depth into each section and give each section the attention it deserves so you can really get the most out of it.
Yeah. Okay, I first want to start with why webinars? You know, I mean, well, in the list of a zillion things that you could do in marketing, why would you do a webinar?
Yeah, it's just there's a couple reasons I would say, but number one is it feels a bit more personal, right? So I think the closest thing you could compare a webinar to is either a phone call or a VSL. And it's like if you mix those two things together, then you have a webinar, right? Because it's video format, but people can still talk and engage with you, but they can't necessarily talk with you, you know, like they would on a phone. So it allows you to get a highly engaged medium where you can also talk with people and stuff, but you can do it one-to-many still instead of one-on-one. So it just makes the sales process quite a bit easier. Your conversions aren't necessarily going to be as high as a phone call, but because of the volume that you can do, you'll do more sales, and then your conversions will be higher than just doing a VSL by itself, which is video sales letter. I assume most people know that.
Yeah, I agree with all that, man. I love webinars because when I think about it, I think about, okay, there's prospects that are in this sales cycle, and you don't know where they're at, but what you can do is, what you said is perfect. It's like one-to-many. So instead of doing you might have 1,000 people, right, that sign up for your webinar. How long would it take to do 1,000 calls? And, you know, I mean, take forever.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm doing like 3 or 4 calls a day, just customer interviews, and it takes my entire day.
Yeah, and what you can do is, you know, it's one-to-many. So in that short period of time, you get like hundreds of people there. And then they can also see that there's hundreds of people there. So your social proof goes up. And then they're actually going to be paying attention. So unlike, you know, they're just watching videos on YouTube. Usually when people register for a webinar, they're saying like, okay, I'm blocking out this time.
I'm there.
And so you have their attention for like 45 minutes, an hour, maybe longer, something around that range, where they're going to be actually dedicated to essentially listening to you. Yeah. And you can, during that time, like you said, create a ton of value. You can get rapport with them. They can get to know you. And so the sales cycle that might have normally taken like weeks of emails of them to get, or blog posts for them to read, or random videos, you can shorten all that into a 45-minute period
Or, 2 hour.
Yeah, or 2 hours, just a couple hours. And you can dramatically push them through that sales cycle, get them hyped, get that rapport, get them interested, explain your products, deliver them value, all that kind of stuff in a very short period of time. And then what's actually really amazing, if you're actually selling on the webinar, one of the best feelings in the world
all those sales come
is
in.
just hit that, buy page, slide where you're like, oh, okay, go to this website URL and then buy right now. And then you just start to see the Slack notifications coming $500, $500, $500, $1,000, blah, 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 blah. Dude, it's so sick.
Bro, what I like even more is so typically I have the chat set to private. We use Demio, so you can change chat to public and private and pretty easily. But what I like to do is I'll ask, all right, so who's in? Just give me an I'm in or a me or yes, I'm in, in the chat if you're in.
Oh, yeah,
I set it to public, and then it's just I'm in. And then everybody who's on the fence, because we'll do limited slots, this only 30 slots for this bonus, 40 slots for this bonus or something like that. And the people see all the other people saying I'm in, and I'm like, yes, this is so fun. This is so good. And then there's that really rare off day where nobody says I'm in and you just want to die. Those are rare, but we
got to get into that. Yeah, we got to get into it. But I did want to say that, dude, that's happened to me too.
Yeah.
Or if you are on a slight delay. Have you ever been watching the screen when you're like, oh, yeah, dude,
give me a one in the chat.
Give me one in the chat. Everybody, if you're pumped up and you're ready to be like, yeah, I see all the ones coming in, but they're not. And you're like, is this working? And then you see them come in, and then you just feel like an idiot.
Oh, there you guys are. I thought you were sleeping on me.
Oh, yeah, no, okay.
Wait, Clayton, before we get into the content, dude.
Yeah. What's up?
We didn't tell everybody about your hoodie.
Oh, shit. Look
guys,
at this.
He's got the Rowdy Boys.
We can't tell people about the hoodie
on.
because, dude, people are going to, every time we show somebody this hoodie, they're like, dude, where can I get that? And you can't.
You
can't. Look at this. Rowdy Boys.
Oh my God, it's so good. Those of you who
back.
says get rowdy.
Oh my God,
that's pretty lit, dude.
They're the littest hoodies on the market for the #1 marketing podcast in the universe.
I know we joke about being the #1 marketing podcast in the universe, and we're gonna get to the webinar stuff, but no, I'm not shitting you. The first day, we've only worn these out in public, and we probably had 6 people ask us if they could have one. People we don't even know, just random people. Where did you get that? I want that. It's so cool. Yeah. And I'm not saying that because I want to sell you guys, but
you actually can't even buy them.
Not selling them.
The only way to get them right now is literally to comment on our videos.
Yeah, James Tudsbury got a shirt. I don't know. I don't think it's been delivered yet because he lives in South Africa, but. Anyways, let's get into the webinar content. Okay. Let's get started.
Webinars are
awesome.
Let's
give the people some knowledge.
You gotta run webinars if you have a big enough list, and you
don't even need a list. You can do it with ads too. We can go through all that.
I would love it. I think that a lot of people can do a lot of stuff. I really feel like you should concentrate on some of the other things we talked about in the other podcasts, like building your email list and stuff.
That's the first most important thing. But because the good thing about doing a webinar though, I was going through our break even webinar with you earlier.
Yeah.
And we're breaking even, and we're building a huge list from doing it. That's really targeted at the same time. So you could do them both at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. You can run lead gen ads to a webinar. I will say though, for a lot of people that start running webinars, actually getting the webinar done and doing it live is kind of like a big hurdle to get over.
That's a good point.
That's what I want you to get over in this episode. If you've never done a webinar before, I want you to get over that hurdle of being a fucking pussy and start actually running a webinar.
Go. Goddamn, Clayton, you're rowdy today,
dude. I had to stop. I had to stop being a pussy and actually run webbies. And dude, it's not easy to be honest.
I remember my first one. I was shaking.
I was shaking too. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Actually, I thought it was gonna be cool, and then I got up there, and I was like, my heart just and it's about ready to go live, and I was like, shit, I got no options. There's people waiting, So, all right. So anyway, let's get into it, man. All right, we got 3 parts: is what happens before the Webby, what happens on the Webby, and what happens after the Webby. They're all really important because a lot of people only think about oh, I just got to make these slides and do the Webby, but actually all these parts are important. So let's break them down one by one. What happens before the Webby, aka the funnel or whatever else you want to talk about.
Okay, so we're just gonna do a brief overview, guys, of everything that goes into it, and you'll get a lot of ideas out of this.
Yeah.
And then to give you the full picture, that we really do need to go in depth, but we don't want to make a 3-hour-long episode.
Yeah.
So
still will be anyway.
The first thing you want to consider is your registration page. Obviously, this is where the most of your work is going to go into.
Yep.
Because if your registration page doesn't convert, then the rest is it doesn't fucking matter because no one's going to show up anyways. And our registration pages on our email list convert at 90%. These things crush. And we've been using a very simple formula for years. We've got 2 different versions of it that we use, but it's so simple. And it all starts with knowing your customers' pain points or what topic is like top of mind right now. Because sometimes there's like some things that are going on in the internet marketing world or in your specific niche that are worth knowing. So you have to do a little bit of research and get into what your customers are interested in right now. So for instance, on our webinar that we're running to cold traffic right now, it's about selling jewelry. And in it, we talk about Einstein's ad formula. So that is all based around like the iOS 14 thing and not tracking. So I know it's a little random out of place, but the reason I say that is just because something like that, it's relevant to what's going on right now. So a little bit of structure, the structure to our registration pages, it's always been the same. I've been doing it this way since like 2015. It's just because I stumbled upon a ClickFunnels template that I really liked. Yeah. And it's just the one that has like 3 blocks at the bottom and then like room for a headline and an image or whatever. I guess maybe I'll probably, if you're watching the video, I'll edit in a screenshot of it right here so you can see what it looks like. But what we do is our headline is just promise driven. And then we have 3 bullet points, and then we just have someone sign up. And on mobile, we actually don't even show the bullet points. On mobile, we hide the bullet points. It's just a headline and then name, email, phone number. So what are we looking for in the headline? We've talked about this before on one of our past episodes, how you can do X in Y amount of time without Z, right? So our jewelry webinar is come see how our student Tiffany, and we didn't do the how you thing because Facebook ads, right? We don't want to, you can't say how you can make 6 figures in 10 days or whatever, because then you'll get shut down by Facebook ads. So with our headline, if you're doing it to an email list, you don't have to worry about it. Only do this if you're running ads. So our headline is just how our student Tiffany makes 30K a day within her first, or built a 30K a day business in her first 6 months selling I Heart You products without drop shipping, China inventory, or money up front, right? Okay. So it is curiosity driven because people don't know what I Heart You products are, and it has an outcome in a certain amount of time. So what do people want? They want outcomes. They want 6-figure businesses. Well, Tiffany, obviously she's a bit of an outlier, but she built a 30K a day business in 6 months selling I Heart You products. So we've got the clear outcome, the clear amount of time it takes to get to that outcome based off of real results. And if you don't have results, others like student results, you can just use your own, right? How we built, a 6-figure business, 7-figure business in 90 days, whatever. And then we have the curiosity-driven headline, and this is known as a unique mechanism. It's something that you basically can't get or nobody's talking about anywhere else. It's unique to us. We also talked about that in a past episode, and we talked about what's that thing called? P90X and how they use muscle confusion, right? So that's like, people are like, wow, I've never seen this before. I want to sell that kind of product. What is it? And it creates this, just real curiosity. And it really increases your attendance rate because since people had never heard of this before, they're like, well, the only place I'll ever learn about it is if I attend this here. So that's pretty cool. And then we do the normal thing. What do people hate? They don't like drop shipping from China right now because shipping times are terrible, COVID, all these weird things, right? They don't have tech skills. They don't want to do money up front, stuff like that. So boom, headline, nice and easy. Now our 3 bullet points are just, typically you talk about 3 different things on a webinar, right? That's what most people do. They have, I think Russell Brunson has like the 3 secrets. Frank Kern does the 3 pillars, and then
you can pick 3 things.
3 things that you teach in your webinar. And I'll get to that in a moment too, but we just have 3 bullet points that are about that. So for this one, we have the yellow Walkman effect. It's all curiosity driven. Your bullet points should always be curiosity driven.
Not actually saying what it is, but just doing something that's like going to make them curious to want to show up and watch.
We do the yellow Walkman effect, and this is all about what your product research, what you think is going to sell, isn't actually what's going to sell. We have Ashton Kutcher's investing secret, and how you can make money with it with e-commerce, which is all about how Ashton Kutcher always expects some losers, but because the winners are so big, they'll make him a ton of money, right? And then we have the last one, which is Einstein's ad formula, which is just essentially how we run ads post iOS 14 and the loss of tracking on our e-commerce store. So just 3 curiosity-driven headlines. And for instance, bullet points, sorry. And in the past, just to give you some more examples, like when the Facebook Pixel came out, I would use a bullet point that said how tiny invisible robots equals big money. So I talked about how there's a Pixel and it's a tiny little robot that when you get a customer, it goes out there and it finds other customers for you. And these tiny little robots hunt down customers for you because the Pixel optimizes and stuff like that. So just all curiosity driven stuff to try to make it seem unique. Like people haven't heard about it before. And that really gets your registration rate way higher. Because if you were to say, like, come learn about the Facebook Pixel and how it can get you more sales, or how tiny little robots will hunt down customers for you, like,
it's much more curious.
Yeah. And then we say tiny little free robots and they'll build your business. It's just people are more interested in it and they're going to show up because they haven't heard of this before. They want to see it, right? Yeah. And really, that's all that goes into our registration pages right there.
Okay, so you build them on like ClickFunnels, right?
Yep,
okay, so headline, 3 bullet points, registration. Are you doing them live? You doing them auto webbies?
We do both.
Okay, so you might have your date and time in there, or they might select the time. Okay.
So for live, we just have the set date and time.
Yeah,
and we do like 1 or 2 live webinars a month. And then right now, we always have evergreen webinars running in the background, and we just allow people to register 5 minutes out. So they start every 5 minutes, or they can sign up for one at a set time the next day at 2 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern.
All right, let's say you're doing it live. How early do you start promoting the webinar?
Yes, that's where we were going next. Okay, so it really depends. It's up to you. So we've done it different ways. Lately, we're starting like 5 days before the call. And with ads, so if you're running ads, we start 7 days before.
Okay.
Because we want to give ourselves time to find ads that are really converting. So you want to start testing like not too far out, but you want to do about 7 days out. So you can do like a couple $100 a day at first just to see like, okay, cost per registrants and
but this is like for somebody that's gangster at running webinars that have done a bunch, you know what I mean? So it's like,
but once you get closer to like the actual date, then you have some data. So you can start scaling up your ads, and we'll scale it up to like $5,000, $6,000 a day as we're leading up, because from running webinars in the past, we know what our conversion or our value per attendee is, or our value per registration. Yeah. So as long as we stay under $10 per registrant, we know we can still comfortably spend money and at least break even. And what's good about that is you're going to be profitable because of your email list, no matter what. And then if you can break even on
just lead gen
ads,
anyway.
If you break even on ads, then you're just generating a ton of leads. Yeah. So there's no reason not to do it.
Okay.
With the email list, we're starting like 5 days out. And really, we're just attacking a bunch of different curiosity-based things. Yeah. It's like angles. And then if you find an angle that really hits, and this is something that we like to do in the ads too, is we'll launch like 4 different angles for ads. And if we find an angle that is really resonating and just beating out the rest in cost per registration, then that's kind of what we'll email about too. We'll just stick around that. But honestly, with emails, I just like to hit as many different angles as you can, because with your email list, you're going to get a pretty good response right away anyways. So you just want to use different angles just to get every single corner of the email list, like be these people interested in that and this one, right?
Okay, so you're emailing people like, if it's your email list, probably like 4 or 5 days out. You're emailing them every day to get on.
Yeah, and then also you're going to segment people who register, and you're going to email them too, because now you've got them signed up, and you need to start emailing them on why they should attend, making sure that they attend.
So I want to go so we talked about the landing page. What happens after the registration? What's the thank you page look like?
Yeah, so the thank you page is really simple. We've tested out like a bunch of different things where I did PDFs, free downloads. We've done things where we let them listen to a podcast episode, stuff like that. What we've switched to now is literally just success stories. Like, thank you for signing up. Here are other people who attended this call, and here are their results.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
And then we have the date and time again, an add to calendar button. I can't remember what the name of the tool is. I always forget. It's Eventable. So, and how I remember it is Even Table.
Dude, I gotta look this up because I need one of those.
So it just allows you to embed a calendar button so they can embed it or save the date in the calendar of their choice. And what's really good about it is you can include like their join link for the webinar. You can include, it gets the description for the webinar. So instead of just saying, hey, add this to your calendar, it has all the information because you create the button. So you get to choose what it says in their calendar.
Do you ever try to get a second action on that thank you page other than just registering for the webinar?
No, but we probably should. I know that Frank Kern does that a while, and I remember the first time I signed up for one of his webinars, he had his like VSL black box upsell on the thank you page, and I bought it for like $297. I was like, this is genius. Yeah. And then it's funny because the training was about how to upsell people after they register for webinars, and I bought that shit. He's like, hey, so you just registered for my webinar, and I'm going to sell you something. Do you want to see how I make money upselling people after they sign up for my webinar? And I was like, yes. Yes, I do. But, okay, so after they register, the thank you page is super simple. But what we do is we have the conversion pixel right there on the thank you page for Facebook, right? And we start creating a custom audience, and then we just hit them with retargeting ads that are reach. There's no call to action. It's just all to build like authority. So it's like podcasts we've done, articles that we've been featured in, case studies that we've gotten. And the reason we do that is because we're just trying to build ourselves up in front of the target audience, especially the new leads. And it's just you run a reach ad and you literally spend like $10 a day and you can reach everybody who signs up because the CPMs are going to be pretty low.
Well, I found that CPMs on Facebook for retargeting are like crazy high lately.
Do you do reach ads or are you doing
we're doing
else?
we're doing like conversion ads and stuff like that. So
with retargeting, I would always recommend using reach ads.
Okay.
I know. Seems counterintuitive, but you don't need to, because there's no, like, you don't need conversion objectives, because the point of a conversion objective for an ad is to look at really big audiences and try to pick out the best purchasers out of them. Retargeting audiences are very small and they're already all intent or interest based because they've shown something. So you want high frequency and you want to reach them as many times as possible. If you run, the reason your CPMs are so high is because it's trying to find these perfect people out of a small audience. So it's really selective and charges you a lot to serve ads versus reach, which it just shows everybody the ads because you want to make sure everybody in your retargeting list sees the ads.
Thank you for that tip, man. We're talking about webinars, but I think I got some Facebook ad advice right here.
Well, it's something that we do, yeah. So we're running the reach ads to everybody that signs up. And it's just like, you know, like stories about Matt, stories about myself, why we do what we do, articles we've been featured in, podcasts we've done, case studies, things like that, success stories. Just to, you know, again, try to build, because we're, you know, spending $5,000, $6,000 a day on ads for this, or even just with your email list, right? You want them to be hyped up. You want them to see you everywhere. You want to be top of mind until that call. So people are just excited and ready to go. And this will really boost both your attendance and your conversion rate, at least in my opinion, from what we've seen. So definitely recommend doing it. Okay. And I guess just to lightly cover the email stuff, at first, it's the 80-20 rule, right? Like a lot of your registrations are going to come from that first email, and then the rest of the emails are going to do okay. And then the day of the webinar, you're going to send like 3 registration emails. And then 3 or 4.
Damn.
A lot, yeah. You're going to send like one at 8 a.m., one at noon.
Last chance to get on the Webby.
One at 6, one at maybe 7:30, and one at 8. You send a lot on that day of and really get the last people on. And then it's time for the webinar itself.
Yeah, I've actually, I agree with that. We've had a lot of success with like, we usually just email like once or twice to get on the webinar, but then like we tried it once like right before the webinar, like, hey, we're about ready to go live.
Yeah.
And just hit the list and it just like exploded the registration. So
do it when it's live and you're like, hey, you know, we just got started. People are loving it. You send a screenshot of the chat. So at like 8 o'clock, let's say the webinar starts at 8 o'clock. You send a screenshot of the chat like, hey, you guys excited? So excited, so excited. Yeah, let's do this. And then you take a screenshot of that and you already have the email ready to go. You just have, all you need to do is insert the image, hit send, boom, dude. You get an extra like 100 attendees right there.
Wow. So by the way, do you have a date time preference for the webinars?
Yeah, Tuesday or Thursday at 8 p.m. Just because it's always what we've done.
8 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah. I don't know if it's the best. I don't have any data to prove it. It's just like old habits die hard.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Maybe it's good for the mojo.
2 p.m.
What is your expected registration to show up ratio?
Dude, this is so different like all the time now. It's so hard. Like,
I agree.
We used to be at 50%. Sometimes we still do. Sometimes we do 20%. Fuck, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
This one is just so varied. And it really depends on the topic too. So, you know, we do a lot of affiliate webinars. And recently for our affiliate webinars, our attendance rate is just really, really low. Like we had like 2,000 people registered for a webinar and only like 100 people showed up.
Yeah, that's pretty real. That's way low.
But then the other in July, we had like 1,200 people register for webinar, and we had over 500 people show up, right? So it's just
I would say, for anybody listening, I think a good rate would probably be somewhere in the 20 to 40%. That's probably the range that most will fall in. 30%.
Like 7 years ago, we used to get 100%. Not necessarily 100, never 100, but goddamn, it was good.
But probably know, like, the bigger your numbers are, like if you're getting thousands of registrants, the percentage is probably going to drop down, I bet. But 20 to 40%. We try to get 30% people to show up. If we're not getting 30%, we're probably doing something wrong. That's what we try to hit. And okay, cool. So they register the thank you page, and then do they get anything between the time of the registration and the actual showing up to the webinar?
Well, like I said, they get the ads. So
they get the ads,
ads, and then also you're going to segment people who sign up, and you're just going to send them a bunch of case studies.
Okay.
Just to why you should show up. Here's why you should show up. Here's why you should show up. Here's
Are you
why
emailing
you should show
every day until the event?
Yeah,
happens?
basically like one email a day.
Okay.
Just with a different case study or a different angle, or like, whoa, this is cool. We just, added something. I don't know, but mostly just case studies.
And they're also probably getting automated messages from the webinar platform that you're using, saying like, hey.
So Demio will send them like the 24-hour email and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Go to webinar. They all do it.
So yeah, in terms of platforms, you've used
Demio and GoToWebinar.
Yep.
They're both reliable. They're both fine.
Yeah.
I have a free for life Demio plan, so
yeah. Okay. Well,
I
perfect. Yeah. I will say that I've tried a bunch of different stuff. I've tried first GoToWebinar back in the day.
It sucked back in the day. That's why I started using Demio in the first place.
Yeah, it was fine, but the problem is you had to download software, and people are, like when you try to attend a webinar, it makes you download a software that sucks.
Dude, it crashed all the time for me.
Demio actually came through and solved that, so people could actually attend webinars by just in their browser, and that was amazing. So we started using Demio. I think that GoToWebinar actually finally came out with that.
They have the HTML version, and it can do 3,000 attendees at a time.
Yeah, that's good.
Actually, it might be able to do 10,000 attendees now. I think they upped it.
Okay.
It was 3,000.
If you're gangster, you can do that.
I think Onyx Singal fills up those 10K rooms or something.
That's my dream one day. And
for automated webinars, though, we use Stealth Seminar.
Okay.
Because we were
I
using...
haven't heard of that.
It's really good. I like it a lot. It's like Webinar Jam if Webinar Jam was good. No offense, guys.
We are actually using Demio for some auto webbies right now. So that's pretty cool.
You should check it out. Big fan. And it's cheap. It's like $100 a month. $144 a month, I think. So
they registered. They get some emails. They get some retargeting. We're warming them up, getting them onto the Webby. Okay, so let's go live on the Webby. Let's talk about the content of the webinar. Like, how can someone prepare a really compelling presentation? What should that look like?
So it's pretty... We've been using the same formula for years. It's Jason Fladlin's formula and Frank Kern. They basically do the same exact thing, but it's really simple. Within the first 5 minutes, you want to show some sort of testimonial, some sort of proof. You got to solidify the fact that they're on. So the first thing we do is we have our first slide, right, which is the topic, which is how you can build a 6-figure business in the next 90 days with I Heart You products, right? Next page, you want to have those testimonials. You want to just start giving people a reason to be on right away. Here are results people have gotten being on this call. Yes, you are in the right place. Next slide, you want to start weeding people out. Look, this is not for this, which weeds out people. Usually nobody really leaves, but the idea is to weed out people. And if you've done your research right, your target audience, like all those items should be things your target audience hates, just like in your headline, like how you can do X without Y, right? All these things are things your audience doesn't want to do. So by saying like, this isn't for you. If you want to do this, then you're kind of connecting with them a little bit. They're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. This sounds great. What I'm going to learn tonight sounds great, right? This is for you if, then you transition over to this is for you, which, same exact thing, except it's the opposite. If you've done your research, you should know exactly what your target audience wants to hear, all right? And then you say that, and they're like, yes, this sounds perfect. This is exciting. And that's how you get them to stay on. Mm-hmm. Then you go into your hero's journey. Basically, every single webinar, VSL, everything has this now. I was once like you. Life was terrible until I found this solution. Now life is good.
Yeah. And what do you say to the people that, because this can be a problem if you talk about yourself too much. You know what I mean? Like, how do you address that? How do you make it so it's not about you?
Dude, it's
Or
fine
people,
to,
you know, 'cause people hate like, oh my god, I don't want to hear your life story. You know, like that's
Well,
kind
that's
of
okay. You don't necessarily, dude, you're not gonna be able to please everyone. You have to do this because people need to understand that the system will work for them. They want to see that someone was in a bad place and they overcame it, because that is how you discovered the system. They want to see the origins of the system, right? Or the product, whatever it is that you're selling. You were in a bad place and then you tried thing after thing and nothing worked, and then you discovered this one secret, right? And that changed everything. People want to hear that story, and it just works. And it's like the people who get pissed off about the story or whatever anyways, they probably weren't going to buy anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like, they can leave, it's fine, right? So I don't think that it's necessarily a huge deal. This is the one time where it's like really okay to talk with you, and if you don't do it, then it's not going to necessarily work as well. Like with our HCOM webinar, the one that we sold a butt ton on, dude, there was like a 30-minute
story,
30-minute section about Matt's story, just like him going to work every day. Mr. McDougal, the boss, was sweaty, eating cookies and yelling at Matt, just like doing all these things.
Okay, so there's a difference though. When you're talking about like the story or whatever about you, I think some people kind of say like, hey, my name is Jim and I'm 22 years old and I grew up in Florida and blah,
nobody
blah, blah.
cares about that.
No
it's
one
just
cares.
the hero's journey.
Yeah, so to clarify, when you talk about you, you're talking about the journey that you went through and it relates to, you know, the discoveries and all those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then after that, then it's time, because when you end the hero's journey, it's like, then I discovered X, right? Yeah. And then X it's probably the product or the system that's for sale that day or whatever, right? And I discovered it and everything changed. Yeah. Then you transition into the content, which is the system, right? And then there's many different ways to do this. I think like Russell Brunson doesn't even give content. He just says like, if you think you need sales teams, you don't, and here's why. That's secret number one, right? So that's what he does. We don't do that. We actually give training, but we kind of like gloss over it a little bit, right? So with the jewelry webinar, for instance, training one is the yellow Walkman effect, which is, we basically say like, look, we go through a story about how Walkman did this test. They did a focus group and said, if we released like yellow product or yellow Walkman, would you want that over the black one? And everybody in the focus group said yes. And then as everybody was leaving the focus group, Walkman was like, can we trust them, right? So they wanted to make sure. So they gave everybody a free Walkman as they left and gave them the option to choose the yellow or the black one. And literally every single person chose the black one. So
they were liars.
So we say that you can't trust people to tell you what they want. You need to look at what actually sells.
Yeah.
And then we give them a method of...
because what people say and what they do are two totally different things.
Exactly.
Definitely. I believe that 100%.
So then we give them training, like a really quick overview of training on how you can find products that are actually selling, not just ones that people say they want to buy. Because a lot of people will look for social proof and stuff like that and say, okay, well, it's selling based on the social proof. Yeah. We showed them how to get actual sales data on what is selling. So that's pretty like cool. Secret number one, or like pillar number one. Yep. Number two is the Ashton Kutcher's wealth formula. And that's all about how Ashton Kutcher, besides being an actor and charity guy, I don't know what I would say there, but you know, he's got like the Save the Children charity. Instead of just doing that, he's also an investor. Okay. And his investing strategy is to invest in many different things, knowing that a lot of them won't work, but some of them will. And he'll be a big winner, which is like literally what all angel investors do, right? Yeah. I mean, like Y Combinator there. It's all the same there. And then, so we talk about, it's the same with your design. A lot of designs are going to lose, but you're going to have some winners that are just going to be so huge and make six figures. And then, so then we show them a training on how they can quickly pump out tons of designs, and we show them how to do it using our software. And then, you know, software is part of the pitch at the end. So boom, cool. And then number three is Einstein's ad formula. And literally, we just walk them through how we set up Facebook ads. So it's really simple. You just give them 3 training things that are good, but it's like not the entire picture. They should be able to take what you train them on and go use it, right? Yeah. But then you give them a much better offer, and that's how you get in. That's when you start getting into the pitch.
Okay. Yeah, I like that a lot, and I want to kind of comment on, because you can do this a lot of different ways, to be honest. But I think like generally from a structure standpoint, you're nailing it. Like you get the little intro, get a little bit of rapport with them, tell this story, say who it's for, all that kind of stuff. Getting results in the beginning, because the beginning of webinars, usually the boringest thing on the planet. So you got to hit them off
That's why
with
I do it
something
shirtless.
Yeah.
Like guys, look,
start off the webinar
beginning's really
shirtless.
boring, so I'm gonna do this one shirtless. As you can see, I just got my nipples pierced.
And then pick out 3 things that you want to, actually give them some value with, right?
They should be good.
They should be
like,
good.
If it's not good, people are just gonna feel cheated and be like they wasted their time. You want good shit.
But I will say though, there's I made a big mistake in a webinar one time when I picked out some things to teach.
Do it shirtless.
First of all, I didn't do it shirtless. Clearly my conversion rates tanked because of that. No. So what I did on this webinar, it did not work well at all. Is that I was just teaching them things, but they weren't. They were related to the product I was going to sell at the end, but they weren't exactly what the product solves at the end. Okay. So for instance, this was I don't know if I can give you the great example, but it was they were related, but it wasn't exactly what I was selling. And what I realized on that is that whenever you're teaching, you want the thing you're going to sell at the end to specifically be the solution to the objections that you had there. So for instance, like if you were running and if you want to sell Facebook ads, let's say I've never sold Facebook ads, but just to clarify this, if you want to sell Facebook ads and you said like, well, you got to set up great creatives and then you got to do great targeting or whatever. Those are the 3 things that you teach. And then you sell Facebook ads, but you don't do the targeting and you don't do the ads. You only run the ads or something. It's bad. Like, so you need to really think about when you're doing the training, those things need to really flow in directly to the product. They need to match exactly. So you say, when we talked about that, dude, this product does that. And when we talk about number 2, this will do exactly that.
So and make it all easiger and give you the exact system so you never feel blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, because what happens is people come up to you and say, well, does it do the thing that you just taught me? Oh, yeah, we got some...
Alexa just turned on by itself.
People will be like, does it do the things that you just taught me about? And you're like, oh, no, I just trained you for fun.
I just trained you on something else.
No, it has to be exactly what your product solves. So yeah, I love that. 3 things. Another way to think about it that I think is a good idea is if you could think about 3 main mental hurdles that they have to get over to buy, and then address those. That could be one way to think about what kind of content you're going to put in there. So if you could just say like, whatever mental hurdles there are. Russell Brunson, I think he talks about, he calls it like an epiphany bridge. What are like the 3 epiphanies that they have to have?
That's what I was talking about. Like you need a sales team or something like that. Yeah. No, you don't, and here's why. And then that's like, maybe I'll try it someday. I don't know.
Yeah. So what are the 3 things, like 3 major pain points, objections that people have, that misbeliefs that you can change by showing them on there? So you give them a little bit of training, but what would you say about, there's kind of a problem is you get on the webinar and you like teach too much. Because the idea of the webinar is not to actually teach.
Yes, to make
the
money.
idea of the webinar is to get them
trust you and interested in what it is you're selling, and then become a customer.
Yeah, it's supposed to persuade them, because that's actually valuable in itself. If you can persuade someone to take action, then that's very valuable. So the idea isn't to teach them necessarily. So how do you kind of find that balance between teaching them something enough that's valuable but not going too in depth that it becomes like an actually course in itself?
Yeah, I think it's just like, don't go over the shoulder. You should just have everything in slides that you can go through pretty quickly. The only time we go over the shoulder, to go back to that example I just gave you, was we train them on how they can pump out a bunch of designs really quickly, and we go over the shoulder. But we do that because we're showing them a software that we built, and that software is part of the pitch. So it's like we're training them how to do something. We're showing them how cool and simple and easy something is, but they're not even going to have access to it unless they buy the product, right? So that's something that you could do if you have software. But I think the best way to do it, if you want to train but you don't want to train too much, is just don't go like over the shoulder. I would just have all your training in slides, and like, as you can see here, blah, 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 and then here.
Okay.
And that way you can get through everything pretty quickly, because each training, like each of your 3 sections should only be about 5 minutes long each.
Okay.
And just stick to that. Go through it a few times, practice it, and just make sure you can condense it into 5 minutes.
All right. And then, so you got to the meat of the content. Now let's talk about the end of the webinar. How do you close it down? How do you transition to the sale? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So this is the easy hard part. After you do your training, we basically say the same thing. We kind of recap everything you have. So now you know where to find products that sell. All right, you know how to pump out as many designs as you can as quickly as possible, and then you also know how to run ads. Right? Here's the thing: you can go off and do this by yourself, or you can work with us. And obviously, say a little more complex than that, but you have two options. You can take everything you learned today, you can go out there, you can try it on your own, and maybe you get it right. Or B, we can have a nice working relationship together, work on this together, and get you the results that you and your business deserve, right? Blah, blah. We chose option B. And B is the reason why, because, no matter how great we are, within the hour we've spent to you today, we haven't given you everything you need to build the life you deserve, something like that, right? And then we say, if you're okay with that, then we can work together. How does that sound? Give me a 1 in the chat if that sounds interesting.
So you ask permission to give them the pitch, and
and then everyone's like, 1, yeah, I want to work with you. I want to work with you. Yes, that's great. That's great. And then from there, you just start, all right, well, here it is. I don't want to pitch you super hard because as you've seen today, we're able to give you tons of value.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. And then we just start saying, introducing jewelry profits. And then you go through the modules, what's in there. And
do you drop the price? When do you drop the price in that way for them to buy?
Yeah. So here's what we do. So at first, we go through everything that's included in the core product, just the core product.
Yeah.
No, we don't start getting into bonuses or anything like that. Yeah. A lot of the time, if you have software or things like that, they should be a bonus, and I'll tell you why. But so we go through the modules of the course just one by one, and something really good to do is make it story-based. So instead of saying like, Module 1 is mindset. It's like module number 1, and then you give some story about how mindset created this huge moment, aha moment for you and unlock this, right? Mindset number 2 is design. And then you talk about like how my store wasn't converting when I started, and then I found these 3 design hacks, and it allowed me to fucking make tons of sales. And you'll get that exact thing in module 2 instead of giving like the details, because nobody wants details about like, you sell the outcome, not the benefits or features, right? And doing the story-based ones work really, really well. So you go through everything that's included, just using that formula. Then is when you start dropping the price, and you always start at the real value, and you anchor it to something. So, for instance,
anchoring, yes, we've talked about this.
What we do is, our store in 2020 did 20 million. So we're like, okay, how much is this course worth? Well, some people would say that it's worth $20 million because in 2020 alone, everything that we outlined in here made us $20 million.
Boom, that's the price. 20 million bucks.
Definitely worth 20 million. At least it is to us, because we know that if we implement everything in here, we can reliably make $20 million based off of the value. Next, then we drop it. We're like, obviously, we're not going to charge you $20 million. How about $100,000? And then you include a student testimonial of someone who made $100,000. And then we say, clearly it's worth $100,000 because John here was able to take what we've implemented and he made $100,000, right?
I like that.
But we're not going to charge you $100,000 either. What about $10,000? Yeah, clearly it's worth $10,000 because look at these tons of students who have made $10,000+ a month using what's outlined here, right?
It's like price justification.
Yeah, exactly. You're anchoring the price to real value. And then we say, okay, but we're not going to charge you that. The price today is $5,000. But because you're on here with us live and we want to work with action takers, we'll drop the price to $2,000 for people who sign up today. And then boom, you got the price. And then you get into but wait, there's more.
So wait,
right?
You drop the price, and then on the screen, I think you probably have a link or something that says.
Then you drop the link when you drop that final price.
Okay.
Go to scup.net/jewelry to sign up.
Okay. What is going on, dude?
Dude, our Alexa it's like turned on and is talking. I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah.
Alexa, stop.
Okay. Coming back.
Sorry, guys. I have no idea what happened. I think there's a ghost. Oh, my God. I'm scared.
Okay.
So, yeah, we dropped the link right there. And then the link is going to be on every slide moving forward, just at the very bottom.
And that's really important, dude. I've messed it up before where you drop the link and then you go on to the next page and they're like, hey, can you go back and show me the link? But so you have to have the link on every single slide after
and you put it in the chat too and stuff like that. Yeah. And then after that initial price drop, then you're going to start getting into bonuses. Now, your bonuses shouldn't be random. They shouldn't just be like, well, I think that this is going to be good because it just adds value or whatever. Your bonuses should be objection handlers. Every single time you do a webinar, you should think, well, why could this not work for someone, or why might someone not buy? And your bonuses need to attack that. So, for instance, we made that jewelry software, right? It makes designs. We're like, okay, well, people don't want to hire a designer. They don't know how to do design. Perfect. We'll just make a software that does it for them. All right. So boom, bonus number 1 is our done for you jewelry design app. Boom, that objection is handled before they can even bring it up, right? Done. And then you need to give a value for your bonuses, and you justify it the same way we talked about before with either math or like earning screenshots or something like that. So we said, is the course worth, $20 million? Yeah, because we made $20 million from what we outlined in here. So with this, we say, all right, so the done for you jewelry app is worth $997, and here's why. You could go buy a Photoshop subscription. That'll cost you $997. Or you could hire a designer. That's going to cost you $25 an hour. You need to make this many designs per month. Boom, that's a $2,500 right there. So this is worth at least $997. You get that for free when you purchase Jewelry Profits today. And then you always keep saying that. And then you say, so like when you purchase Jewelry Profits at scup.net/Jewelry Profits today, right? So,
yeah.
And then you literally just go through that over and over. So every objection
bonuses.
you can think of, you give them a bonus. And then every time you list a new bonus, then it's really repetitive.
You
drives me
reiterate the
nuts.
price, right?
Yeah, you talk about the price,
everything.
and then you go through all the past bonuses
Yeah,
over
for me,
and over.
sometimes, dude, I don't know. I know that people say to do that, but I've done it before, and it seems it feels so weird and awkward to just repeat.
What you need to do is watch a pro do it. Okay, because if you go watch like Jason Fladlin or Russell Brunson or Frank Kern do it, you're gonna feel differently about it. I feel the same way as you, and these guys are still better at it than I am. Okay,
well,
or even like Alex. When Alex did it, it's fucking good.
I will say though that if you're starting webinars, I feel like it's important to be authentic. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you gotta find this balance, right? Because you can look up these scripts and you can look up like for instance, like Russell Brunson has like the perfect webinar formula, and like you can follow these things, and sometimes it's just not some shit that you would normally say, and sometimes I think that means that you shouldn't say it, but sometimes it means that you need to push yourself and follow a proven plan. So I think you got to find somewhere a balance in the middle, because if you're trying to do a webinar where you're coming across as like weird, people are going to like feel that.
They're like, this isn't you, Clayton. What is going on? I've never seen Clayton talk like this.
We haven't really talked about this, but really sales, like the conviction that you have, I think is so vital, and especially on a webinar,
then people aren't going to buy.
Yeah, especially on a webinar, in the way that webinars are presented, like your energy is so important. Mm-hmm. Like if you get on a webinar, like
people will exit. If your energy is low, people exit. They go to YouTube. They go to Pornhub. I mean,
dude, you have to like. What I try to do in every webinar is I try to take my energy to like level 5,000.
I need you to consult with Matt. Okay, before Matt and I have a webinar next Tuesday. Get on a call with him beforehand and just psych him up for me.
Okay. Please. Well, I mean, you gotta be authentic to you. So if it's not really,
you're making too much sense, Clayton.
I've seen people do it a much more chill vibe, but for me, like, dude, I gotta be authentic to me, but I gotta take my energy up, and so it's like. You got to find this balance between following a proven plan and doing what works, but also not making it so fucking weird. I've seen somebody do that before where it was so awkward and weird that it was a big turnoff. You know what I mean? Because it was just
probably me, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I actually saw somebody do it live, and they just did the reiteration of it, and people like literally laughed at him because it was so repetitive.
Yeah. So if you watch an expert do it though, then it's like. You don't even notice that it's happening, right?
So you got to watch some webinars before you do one. You'll get an idea.
And what they do, though, what like the professionals do, is it's different every time they go through it, right? So they'll talk about, essentially, this takes a lot of work, but every time if you do your little notes, like your presenter notes at the bottom, you can have a different reiteration for the bonus. So for instance, like we'll go over the design app. The first time I reiterate it, I'll say, you're getting the design app, so you never have to hire a designer again. And then the next time I go over it, I say, you're getting the design app, and this way you never have to buy something like Photoshop. And then we say, you're getting the design app, so you can get 20 designs out every single day within minutes, right? So every time you're going through the bonus stack again, you're kind of attacking a different angle of that bonus. That. Yeah. So it's a little different. I don't know how the guy was doing it before. Maybe he was just saying the bonuses.
Yeah, he was. He was literally just reading them over and over.
I don't blame him, man. It gets really tiring. Like when you're saying the bonuses over and over again, because if you have like 10 bonuses, dude, that means you're going through them 100 times.
Minutes,
and it is really boring. And I'm like, I'm tired of hearing myself
Yeah.
fucking say it, right?
But the thing is, people are buying all throughout this time, right? So when you first drop the link, some people are already ready to buy. So they go to buy. And some people are like looking at the sales page and listening to you at the same time. So, after you drop that link and you say go somewhere else that don't have your focus attention here, like repeating things over and over, it's not everyone's sitting there like just listening to you over and over.
People need to hear things, dude, like over and over and over and over, and they need to hear different reasons why. They need all their objections handled, and that's the point of bonuses, is just to handle objections.
Okay, so you're done with the bonuses. Anything else at the end of the
then
web
you do
aid?
a call to action again, right?
Okay.
And then after that call to action, you're constantly doing call to actions. After every new bonus, you should say, like, go here, you'll get it today when you sign up here, right? You get to the end. Then it's time for your guarantee. Okay. So we say, all right, so that's everything that's included. That's a $10,000 value or whatever. Now, we also wanted to make it so it's impossible for you to lose. We want to make it so you have no risk. And then
So risk reversal?
Yeah, risk reversal.
Bonus
with
guarantee,
the
risk
bonuses,
reversal.
and then you have your guarantee. With your guarantee, something that I actually we've always done, it's called a you win guarantee, where, if in 30 days you don't you don't feel like it was worth it, we'll give you your money back plus cover the cost of ad spend. That way you come out on top. I was listening to Alex Hormozy's book recently. God, it's so good, guys. But
Fanboy.
he does the same exact thing with the refunds, right? But he says you need to give it a really good name. And I always thought, like you win. Well, that's pretty good. It's better than satisfaction guarantee. It's a you win guarantee, right? Yeah. But the way he approaches it, I'm switching to that. He's saying you just need a really cool name that stands out and grabs attention. So his is Club a Baby Seal Guarantee. If you are not so happy with our product that you would club a baby seal so you could keep access to it, we'll give you a full refund.
Wow.
And I was like,
physical
dude,
finance.
that is
Okay.
awesome. Yes, Club a Baby Seal Guarantee. Let's go. So you get to your guarantee. After your guarantee, you go through the entire stack again. Okay, just to reiterate, here's everything that you're getting. And then what I like to do is go through the refund guarantee after the here's everything you're getting again. Yep. And this way we do it with like a roulette table. I have a little picture of a roulette table up there. And I was like, look, if you could go to a roulette table, spin it, and no matter what you win, you come out on top, how many times would you spin that roulette table? How many times would you say yes to spin that roulette table? Every single time, right? What about if I came to you with an investment and I said you were guaranteed to make money on this or you get your money back on the entire investment? There is no investor out there who would say no to that. And that is the same deal you're getting here today. If you do not like this product, there are two options. When you buy this product, there are two options. Either you make a ton of money with it and it works and it's everything you hoped it'd be, or, which happens much more rarely, you decide you don't like it and you get your money back in a little extra on top. Just like the roulette table, just like the investment, this is something that you win at like every single time. No investor would pass up on this. No experienced gambler would pass up on this. The only thing that happens here is you spend a few hours of your time on this, decide you do not like it and it's not for you, or you make a bunch of fucking money. Who would say no to that, right? So go sign up here. And then you get to the frequently asked questions. And that's the end of it.
Right on. So you do the FAQ. Do you do live questions at all or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
We always do live questions. See what comes in. You always have your Sorry, I guess I should mention, you have your preset questions. So in your notes area, I actually, for the questions, I have them on my phone.
Okay.
So I'll have my phone like next to my
I've done that
computer,
before.
And then I'll look down to like where the chat is. Oh, wait, it's just my phone. So it's like, okay, John asks, is this work for people in different countries? Yes. Susie asks, does this work for kids?
Does it work for me? Yes.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like your very obvious questions. Do I need a bunch of money? No, well, here's what you need, something like that. And then after you go through your preset list of questions, which are also objection handling, the idea with these questions and with the bonuses is you want to quash or squash objections before they ever have the chance to come up. That way, when the buyer is thinking of reasons they shouldn't buy, they literally can't think of any and they buy. Okay. It's like, well, I can't think of any reason not to buy, so I'll buy.
I like that a lot, man. I found it very helpful to have somebody else manning the chat and being there. And I have them sit beside me and they do the chat the whole time. And then I go, hey, what are the questions that are coming in? Because sometimes my screen is full, I'm on full screen slides. Yeah. And I don't want to open up the chat and try to dig through it and stuff like that.
I used to have two computers for that, or two monitors or something.
Yeah. So I have an assistant do that. That's great. But I love the idea of having like pre-written questions and you're just going to be like the FAQs because you know like what objections are usually going to be hit.
what the big objections
and you
are.
don't know. Like when you go, hey guys, put your question in the chat. It takes them a few minutes to put it in. So when you transition to that,
and then
like
they might not even ask the question.
Yeah, they might not.
They might have the worry, but they're not going to ask it because people sometimes just don't speak up.
So you're going to create some questions or FAQs that you can do right at the end of the webinar. Okay, so we're good. You in the Webby. You say, okay, do you just hang out until people stop asking questions, or what do you do?
God, I'm like, so Jason Fladlin has like a good saying about it too, which is as long as people are buying, he's still selling.
Yeah.
Right. But then he also said like he's at a point where he doesn't need the money enough to stick around. Like he values his time.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like at the same way. Dude, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
So I usually stick around. We'll do questions for like 15, 20 minutes or until they just dry up, and then I hop off. And then getting into the post-webinar sequence, we've changed.
I wanted to ask a quick question. So you send people to a page to buy this stuff. Is the page a full sales page? Is it
just a checkout. Dude, you don't need a sales page. For webinars, you should not have a sales page because all you're doing is creating friction in the buying process. You literally just spent 2 hours selling someone. They do not need to see a sales page. It's unneeded friction. You don't need testimonials. You actually don't need anything. All you need is a form for people to put their information in.
And maybe it needs to reiterate the offer maybe very quickly or summarize what they get.
We don't even do that. We have an order bump.
Okay.
$97 order bump, just an AOV booster.
Is there a time limit when they need to get a deal, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so typically what we'll do is we'll have bonuses that are just available on the webinar. Like for the most recent one we did, it was shirts. Okay. Like, hey, if you sign up while you're on call, you can get this shirt swag pack, which is shirts, tumblers, and some other cool stuff. But
So you say they're only going to get the bonuses if they're on the webinar.
If they sign up on the webinar, and then what I'll do
is like a time limit.
What I'll say is, okay, so I know that you might be getting your card ready or something like that. Yeah. So I'll give you until 11 p.m. So it's like an hour after. And then a lot of sales will I'll watch my phone because I'm like, I know some sales will come in. Yeah. And then like an extra 5 or 6 sales come in right before 11 because people are like, ooh, I do want that bonus. With the shirts, it probably doesn't work as well. But if you do some other cool stuff, it works.
Yeah. So after they're done with the webinar, what happens to actually close out the deal? Shebang.
Yeah, so
part 3, almost done.
Part 3, God, we're only at 57 minutes in already. Dude, I told you it was going to be an hour-long webinar.
It's a
Imagine if I went super in-depth on each part, which I feel like we kind of did anyways.
Yeah, but if you can do this will make you millions, like literally. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, it's made us, we've done over 30 million at least, because we did, we've done, it's probably right around 30 million in webinars, so it's pretty good.
That's why it's important.
So we changed things up, actually. We used to just send them straight to a replay page, but now what we do is...
question. Right after the webinar finished, you send them an email. It says like, hey...
That's what I was about to say.
Hey, just want to make sure you get the...
Yeah, so we send an email to attendees. That's just an automation. So Demio has an automation where they apply a tag to people who attend. So if someone attends, we have an email scheduled to go out that says like, hey, don't forget to buy. Go right here. After that, right after the webinar ends, we also send out another email that says, hey, we're doing a live encore tomorrow at 2 p.m. Sign up here. So then it's just like 3 emails of, hey, encore, sign up 2 p.m. Eastern the next day. We do it live. Yeah. And then the day after that, we'll do another encore at like 11 a.m. Eastern. Same exact thing. 3 emails after the first encore that says, hey, come sign up for our encore. And then we go to the actual replay page. So because we're doing encores, it's more like a 7 or 8 day thing instead of a 3 or 4 day thing where you just send them to the replay page. And then from here, the first thing you want to do is start sending out, you have segmented lists because you have people who have already viewed the webinar and people who have not yet viewed the webinar. So you need to segment your email list based off of this. People who have already seen the webinar, you're going to send them to a page that has a recap of the offer, okay? Everybody else, your goal right now is just to get them to watch the webinar. Okay. So you're not going to be talking about the product yet or anything else. It's unless they've already viewed the webinar, you're not talking about the product. People who have already viewed the webinar, send them to the offer recap plus product info. Yeah. If they haven't yet watched the webinar, you're just sending them to a replay that talks about the webinar. And then we do that for like 3 days. And then for the next 4 days after that, or 2 or 3 days, however long you want to leave your card open, Then you're going to start hammering about the product. Not a lot of sales are going to come in, to be honest. It's that last day where almost all of your sales are going to come in, like that last 48 hours.
Okay.
And that's when you're going to really hammer it with emails. And you can do things like add new bonuses. So we did that for the last 48 hours. We added 2 new bonuses, which was weekly coaching with one of our students that made $30K a day, and then access to a Facebook group. And then on that last day, bro, you just hammer like 5-6 emails.
Quick question. From the time of your first webinar, when that first ends to when the offer closes, how much time is there in between?
I just said like 7 days.
7 days?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Listen, open up your ears, Clayton.
I'm sorry. I missed
said
it.
that.
I missed it. I'm sorry.
God, it's all that hair.
Yeah. Okay, dude. That's pretty much it, right? That's like
Yeah,
the whole
I mean,
shebang.
there's nothing really fancy we're doing in these emails. It's in the replay emails. It's the same exact thing. You really want to. The most important thing is the scarcity on the last day. So everything else is almost moot. You just want to get them to watch the webinar, because the webinar is what's doing all of your selling. You need them to watch the webinar.
Yeah.
So everything should be about that until the last 3 or even 2 days, when then you're going to start talking about the product, compare their life to life with and without the product. Okay, try to make it pain, try to agitate them. And that last 24 hours, start putting countdown timers in your emails. We use countdown mail. Okay, start putting countdown timers in your emails and hit that
Countdown
scarcity.
mail?
Yeah, countdown mail.
I got so many great apps from you, dude.
And just use that to hammer that scarcity home. Hey, last chance. After we close this, the price is going up, or we're closing it down. Give them a reason to buy now. We've talked about this in past calls. They need a reason to act now. And boom, you're done. You're a millionaire.
Boom. That's
And you
it,
can buy a
baby.
Rowdy Boys hoodie. These
Bra-ta-ta.
MSRP at $8,000.
Oh, yeah.
They're
So-
more expensive and exclusive than Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Hermes. Think about this. There's thousands of Hermes products out there. There's only 2 Rowdy Boys hoodies.
Yeah, dude. Like,
I
it's a
think
limited quantity, baby.
Yeah, we're onto something here. Dude, Rowdy Boy fist bump.
Rowdy boy.
I
Dude,
have a
great job on this. Thank you so much for like sharing all the stuff.
coming to the Rowdy
I didn't-
Boys podcast.
I didn't have much to say because I agree with everything that you said.
Dude, it's
you know,
okay. You were just here to show off the hoodie and
Yeah.
look sexy, okay?
Yeah.
But here's the negative part about the hoodie, man, is now we can't see your huge biceps.
Oh yeah, that is painful. Maybe we need to get like an extra small.
I'm
so
like
we can-
mildly aroused by the hoodie, but I was also mildly aroused by the biceps. So now I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
Clayton, we have to ask everybody watching a question.
Hey guys, how are you today?
No.
No.
If you haven't yet liked, commented, subscribed, and rang the bell on YouTube, what are you doing?
What
So,
are you doing?
these are the questions that are starting to keep me up at night.
Dude.
because
Please, let's
what is
do
going
it.
on?
Yeah, please.
Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, or else your kid, if you have one, they're gonna like key your car.
Yeah, bad
Not gonna
things
be
happen.
fun.
Yeah. I do want to know. I do want some comments to say, hey, do you guys like this like longer form stuff, or do you like the quick tips?
Do you want shirtless?
Yeah.
Do you want
shirtless?
biceps out?
Exactly,
Hat
yeah.
backwards? Glasses,
All good-
sunglasses on, sunglasses off?
All good questions.
You need to know.
Yeah.
Guys, we're here. We're trying to help you make millions of dollars. We're not asking for anything in return. We don't have anything to sell. All we want to
Not
know
yet.
is, do you like it? Okay. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring the goddamn bell. And
Ding-a-ling.
most importantly, though, just leave a comment. Let us know what you think. We're
Yep.
here to help. We're giving you away the secrets that literally took us years to learn, and we spent millions of dollars and tons of time
Yeah.
figuring this stuff out. So we appreciate your feedback. If you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you subscribe and leave that 5-star review, okay? Nothing less than 5 stars for Clayton's 5-star apps. And if you're on Spotify, make sure that you just subscribe. And then head over to rowdyboys.net, enter your email so you can get some cool updates. Guys, if you want swag, if you want Rowdy Boys hoodies, if you want shirts, all you got to do is
Comment.
interact. Everybody who's interacting so far has gotten a shirt. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's just but that's it, guys. That's it for today's podcast. Clayton,
Yeah, Rowdy
thank
Boys
you
fist
for
bump.
being such a fucking rowdy boy. Give me
Yes,
that Rowdy
yes,
Boys.
sir.
I want to hear it.
A rowdy boy.
Let's go. All right. We'll see you guys on the next episode.